where these Harry Potter stars are now. All you Potterheads remember the movies, whether you like them or not. We grew up with the Harry Potter cast, so let's take a look at where post-Hogwarts life has led them. 18. Emma Watson. Let's start off with a popular cast member, one of the most well-known from the Harry Potter group. We're starting with Emma Watson, who played book-smart and courageous Hermione Granger, the girl who made sure that Harry Potter and Ron Weasley didn't die throughout their years in school. Watson, whose full name is Emma Charlotte Duer Watson, was born in Paris, is part French, and grew up in Oxfordshire, England. She attended Brown for university, but then would later study at Worcester College, Oxford. She recently starred in last year's Beauty and the Beast and The Circle, and also is a prominent figure in women's rights activism. 17. Evanna Lynch. Speaking of activists, let's talk about Evanna Lynch next. She portrayed the kind and out-of-this-world mind Luna Lovegood, everyone's favorite Ravenclaw. When she was younger, she studied speculative fiction and drama at the Centre for the Talented Youth of Ireland. Even as a child, she was a huge Harry Potter fan. Who wasn't? And would write fan letters to J.K. Rowling. Lo and behold, she'd be cast as Lovegood years later. Now 27 years old, she's a known vegan activist, promoting healthy living, especially since she's openly talked about suffering from anorexia nervosa when she was as young as 11 years old. 16. Matthew Lewis. Before he starred as lovable dork Neville Longbottom, Matthew Lewis starred on a TV program in a minor role on Some Kind of Life. He would star in all 8 films of the Harry Potter franchise, and also has the most notable glow-up from the whole cast. Lewis also worked on the stage, his first major play being in Agatha Christie's Verdict in 2011, and then the most recent play being in 2016. He doesn't just act, though. It seems he's also a sportsman, and works as vice president of the Leeds Rugby Foundation charity. Up-and-coming work includes a role in Terminal with the likes of Margot Robbie. 15. Tom Felton. You either loved him obsessively, or you hated him. Tom Felton had the chance to play Draco Malfoy, and he will always be tied to that character. Fortunately, he seems alright with it. Even though he wasn't the big bad of the series, Draco was definitely an antagonist to main character Harry Potter, and people still loved him. What's Felton been up to since the release of the last Deathly Hallows film? He's dabbed in some TV, starring in Murder in the First in 2014, and most notably in The Flash in the recurring role of Julian Albert. 14. Jamie Waylett. Let's get to not as popular character, but no less recognizable, Vincent Crabbe. Actor Jamie Waylett portrayed Crabbe, one half of the pair of Draco Malfoy's Slytherin lackeys. Waylett was at first considered for the part of Dudley Dursley, though he would eventually be cast as Crabbe after an audition. You may remember that in 2008 he had a brush with the law, and then was taken into custody for taking part in a riot, with this being the reason he would not appear in the later films. 13. Bonnie Wright. Her first appearance was in the first movie, and she wasn't even a Hogwarts student yet. In the role of Ginny Weasley was redhead Bonnie Wright. Her parents are the owners of jewelry company Wright & Teague. While filming the last 2 Harry Potter movies, Wright attended the University of the Arts London College of Communication. We may know her best as an actress, but at school she studied film and television production management, and now operates her own production company and directs, though you can still find her acting on screen and on stage. 12. James and Oliver Phelps. The twins, Fred and George, were fan favorites, whether you read the book or just watched the movies. You could say it was perfect casting that James and Oliver Phelps landed the role of Fred and George Weasley. Could you imagine any other ginger twins in the same roles? No way. Funny enough, the Phelps twins are naturally brunette. Outside of acting, they enjoy lots of sports and will often be seen on their social media playing football or supporting football clubs, and even MLS. They haven't acted since 2015 when they were in Danny and the Human Zoo. 11. Robert Pattinson. Then we get to Edward Cullen. Oops, we mean Cedric Diggory. It's our Pats himself, Robert Pattinson. He entered the industry as a male model and then would go on to get cast as the one and only Cedric Diggory. Prior to the release of Goblet of Fire, book fans knew that this was an immensely important role, and that, spoiler, he'd only be in one movie. Then he got cast as Twilight's Edward Cullen, and his career went up from there. Recently, he starred in the critically acclaimed indie film Good Time and seems to be staying in the smaller scale movie spotlight. 10. Stanislav Ian Nevsky. His name might not be as familiar as Robert Pattinson, but he was in the same movie and only that movie, just like Robert Pattinson. We have Quidditch extraordinaire himself, Viktor Krum, up next. In the role was Stanislav Ian Nevsky, who played the Bulgarian student in Goblet of Fire, which was released in 2005. He auditioned for Krum after casting director Fiona Weir spotted him and encouraged him to attend acting workshops, and then eventually landing the role of Viktor Krum. Lately, he has acted in a few movies, with Gia being the most recent in 2016, but also as Shepard in TV's Sophia Residence in Excess. 9. Jessica Cave. What kind of name is Lavender Brown anyway? Of all the interesting and oddball names J.K. Rowling came up with, Lavender Brown definitely is weird in its own way. It's just 2 colors for crying out loud. Portraying her on the silver screen was Jessica Cave. She's now 31 years old, if that doesn't make you feel old. The last Harry Potter movie did come out in 2011. Cave published a book of her own illustrations called Lovesick, and you'll see her same doodle styles on greeting cards too. 8. Domhnall Gleeson. You see the way his name is spelled, and you're probably thinking to yourself, how in the world do you even say that? Well, you heard it earlier in the title, it's Domhnall Gleeson. When asked why his name is spelled that way, Gleeson jokes that his parents just wanted to make it harder for everyone. Son of famous Irish actor Brendan Gleeson, who played Mad-Eye Moody in the film as well, Domhnall Gleeson has since made an impressive career for himself. After starring as Bill, the eldest of the Weasley siblings, Gleeson would go on to star in as many movies as possible in the next coming years, including Star Wars. Recently, he was in the film Goodbye, Christopher Robin. 7. Devin Murray. Here's him beside Alfred Enoch, who we'll get to later. In the movies and books, their characters were often seen together. Yep, that means we're gonna talk about Seamus Finnegan himself, Devin Murray. He was 6 years old when he landed his first gig, acting in a commercial for a Tesco ad on TV. He'd star in This Is My Father 6 years later in 1998. After joining the National Performing Arts School, he'd then get cast in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone if you're from the United States. After Potter, Murray continued his acting career, his latest move being in Damo and Ivor, the movie. 6. Frank Dillane. His father is Stephen Dillane, who many of you might recognize as Stannis Baratheon on Game of Thrones. Perhaps you don't recognize Dillane outright from this photo. How about if we told you he played young Tom Riddle? No, not in the Chamber of Secrets, but in The Half-Blood Prince. Dillane doesn't have much on his repertoire yet, though the things he's been in are pretty good for someone starting out. He was in Ron Howard's In the Heart of the Sea in 2015, and then in the Walking Dead spin-off Fear the Walking Dead. In 2016, he was nominated for Best Performance by a Young Actor in a Television Series at the Saturn Awards. 5. Clemens Posey. She stunned audiences everywhere as Fleur Delacour in Goblet of Fire. In the books, you know she marries Bill Weasley, and she did make some small appearances in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Posey, a French actress, got the attention of English-speaking audiences this way and would go on to appear in English-speaking films. Outside of the Harry Potter films, you might remember that she was in 127 Hours with James Franco, and recently was in The Final Portrait and the show The Tunnel. 4. Rupert Grint. Of course, we were eventually going to get to Ron Weasley. He's Harry Potter's best friend and eventual brother-in-law, and Hermione's best friend and eventual husband. Ron Weasley is now synonymous with Rupert Grint's face. Can you imagine anyone else playing him? Grint's first work outside the Harry Potter films was in 2002 with the film Thunderpants. As far as movies go, he hasn't been in much since Moonwalkers in 2015, but he has been on TV lately, like the TV adaptation of Snatch, and now in the ABC Murders. He also sings and writes music, just FYI. 3. Katy Leung. Also starring in Goblet of Fire was Katy Leung, who played Harry's first crush, Cho Chang. Her father works as a businessman and her mother is a Hong Kong banker, but it seemed it was the film industry that Leung found herself drawn in by. Leung's father was the one who saw a casting call ad for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire and prompted his daughter to audition. She starred in the sequel Half-Blood Prince and then in Deathly Hallows Part 2, but she also would steadily add to her IMDb list by starring in a movie or show every now and then. You might have seen her in last year's The Foreigner as Jackie Chan's daughter. 2. Alfred Enoch. If you stayed up to watch How to Get Away with Murder, then you know who Alfred Enoch is. Some call him Alfie Enoch. Either way, if you didn't know his name during the Potter movies, then you know who he is now. His father is English actor William Russell. He graduated with a degree in Portuguese and Spanish from the Queen's College, Oxford, and can be found at the West End with Alfred Molina in Red. Before we get to number 1, let us know which of these Harry Potter stars you've been wondering about lately and who you still keep up with. Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to keep watching for number 1. Alright, here we go. 1. Daniel Radcliffe. What kind of Harry Potter list would this be without the Harry Potter? At number 1, we discuss Daniel Radcliffe. He landed the coveted role of the boy who lived after producer David Heyman asked Radcliffe to audition for the first movie in 2000. He made enough money in his time as Harry to not worry about money for the rest of his life. He's taken that to his advantage and starred in all sorts of different movies and even plays since he's gotten famous. This year, he's set to appear in The Beast of Burden and Guns Akimbo and TV's Miracle Workers. Last year, he was Rosencrantz on stage at the Old Vic for Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. Looks like he's staying busy. If you like this video and want more like this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. See you guys next time.